Welcome back to my series about the compound effect. This is chapter 2, so if you haven't already, go back and watch the first chapter. This video will be here when you're done. Now, this chapter is titled Choices, but I would push that into saying that it is actually more about the power of your mindset to create your own luck. In chapter 2, he discusses how every single choice in your life contributes to the compound effect. And it's not just the big choices like whether or not or where to go to college or which job to pick, but also whether or not to pick up the phone and call your friend, whether to have that candy bar or apple, who to spend your time with, or a great one that he uses in the book that I love is whether to say I love you or let the moment pass. So this chapter is all about becoming more aware of all of the different choices that we make throughout the day, basically becoming more mindful. This can be cognitively exhausting. There's a reason habits exist. We make a choice. We make that choice enough times that it becomes a habit and basically becomes subconscious. So the real point here is to check back in with all of these different choices that we make, become more mindful of them, and critically think about them. Ask yourself, is this making a positive impact? In other words, if I compound the effect of this choice, will my progress trend upwards or will it trend downwards? Once we go through all of these different choices and become mindful of them again, we can choose whether we want to keep that habit or change it. If you change it, make it a new habit, you then don't have to think about it anymore, and it basically turns into passively helping you improve all the time. Again, this was the whole point behind why I did the 50-day challenge. Set the healthy habits, follow them consistently, form the habit, and now it's second nature. Now you can move on to the next area of your life that you want to improve. And the point of this chapter is not to say, you've been making intentionally horrible choices, stop it and do better. No, it's to make the point that a majority of our choices are entirely subconscious, second nature, habitual. As he puts it, you've been sleepwalking through your choices. It's time to make all your choices intentional again. This will also help with any self-sabotaging. Now, the way we will be going about becoming more mindful of our choices is through habit tracking. And I'll be diving into more of this in more detail later on in the video, but for now, I must take a moment to highlight this week's sponsor. As we're talking about the importance of tracking and the compound effect, I'm always looking for new and better ways to track different things in my life that really matter to me. Luckily, nowadays we have smart gadgets that can track things better than if we tracked them ourselves. One area of my life that I definitely keep track of is my fitness. And while I do track my weight, the number on the scale really doesn't tell you much about your health at all. You could be 150 pounds and be all muscle. You could be 150 pounds and have no muscle at all. And how does body water factor into all of this, or your height? Simply measuring your weight on a scale really is not enough to accurately measure and understand your fitness level. Which is why I'm so glad that FitTrack reached out to me to sponsor this video. FitTrack is not just a scale, but a body composition monitor that will help you reach your health goals faster. Using the electrode panels on the scale, FitTrack is able to give you insights about your body composition that other regular scales just miss. Things like your BMI, your body fat percentage, muscle rate, protein rate, body water, bone mass, and many, many, many more. The one that I find the most helpful has been the body water, which helps me every morning when I step onto the scale. I can see whether I'm dehydrated and need to make sure that I drink more water throughout the day. And then same thing with the protein rate. I'm able to look at that and see if I need to make sure that I eat more protein that day. All you have to do is connect your scale to the app, and then when you step on the scale, the app will record all of your information. You can then view all of your tracked data in these graphs, and they even provide you additional resources to better understand all of those insights that they're providing you. So if you're looking for a better way to track your fitness and reach those health goals, tap this link that I have below and make sure to use my code. And thank you again to FitTrack for sponsoring this video. I have been using this scale for months now, and it has officially fully replaced my old scale. In this chapter, he also talks about the choice of finding ways to give thanks instead of pointing fingers. Finding ways to be grateful in an area of your life where you're struggling will not only help you improve your mindset around that situation, but will also help you discover ways of making that situation better and improving it. Now, this does not mean finding ways to be grateful in an abusive or toxic situation. No, cut that shit out of your life. Here, we're talking about finding gratitude in situations that are trying, not harmful. He also talks about the importance of owning your actions 100%, which includes all the outcomes. He puts it as, we are all self-made men and women, but only the successful take credit for it, which I think is so powerful. You have to be willing to give 100% with zero expectation of anything else in return. When you take 100% responsibility for your choices, including the outcomes of those choices, you then hold the power of your own life. Now, I want to take a moment and acknowledge the fact that this experience is going to be different for different people, acknowledging the very real existence of systemic oppression. Yes, society and government are messed up and minorities are put in a disadvantaged position. But in the end, the only choices you can control are your own. And I'll talk more to this in more detail later on in this video, but he also says this as a very full blanket statement, saying that you need to take 100% responsibility for the outcome of every single one of your actions. And I would like to add in a little bit more nuance here and encourage you to not hold anyone to blame in situations where there truly can't be any control, like being stuck in sudden unexpected traffic. Now, if you left late and you're hitting very expected and predictable rush hour traffic, then yes, that was a choice that you made, and this is a very reasonably predictable outcome. But if you left at the pre-planned time and all of a sudden are hitting very unexpected traffic because of a major accident, well, then no one's really at fault that there's a backup in traffic. I encourage you to practice patience and let go of any blame in that situation. Yes, you could argue that it's the fault of the person who got into the car accident, but let's be real. They're having a much worse day than you. Yes, it sucks that you're stuck in traffic right now, but what sucks more is having been in a car accident, and it could be a very, very dangerous, if not life-threatening situation for them. So don't blame yourself in that situation, but also don't blame the other cars. My point here is to embrace these blameless situations and live in the peace of that, but continue to be incredibly honest with yourself in taking 100% responsibility in all other aspects. Now let's talk about luck. We are all lucky in our own way. If you're sitting there and feeling resistance to that statement, great. That is the place to start, changing that mindset. We are all lucky in some, if not many, abundant ways. If you have running water, if you have a roof over your head, if you have internet to watch this video that you are currently watching. You're lucky to live in an era where you have access to seemingly infinite knowledge on the internet. Now, let's take another moment to acknowledge the very real reality of systemic oppression. Does our society disproportionately disadvantage minorities? Yes, there's no question about that. But living in a world where you and others face oppression and living in a world where you and others are incredibly lucky are not mutually exclusive statements. They can both exist at the same time. You can be lucky while living in oppression. Now, make sure you're hearing me right on this. By no means am I saying that you are lucky to live in oppression, but I am saying that while living within oppression, there are other many numerous ways in which you are lucky. This is why I like to say that nothing in life is black or white. It all exists within the gray. This is in that gray zone. It's nuanced. My point here is to point out the power of the mindset of focusing on your luck while still acknowledging the very real reality of the oppression. Try your best to focus your energy on living within that luck. Now, the other side of this is acknowledging how you may be luckier than others for reasons that are entirely outside of your individual control, and acknowledging how you might be benefiting from systems of oppression. Acknowledge those and commit to taking actions in your life to not contribute, or even better yet, break down the systems of oppression. This is something I could talk about for hours. This really is all about that optimistic mindset. I've found that optimism helps spur you forward, while pessimism really just holds you down and makes it a lot harder for you to make that forward progress. That's not to say that you can't feel bad about a bad situation or a disappointing outcome, but your mindset around that outcome will affect the way that you then move forward from it. For example, when I got my first audition for a feature film, I was so excited. I didn't end up getting the role, but instead of sitting there and being disappointed that I didn't book it, instead I thought, wow, I'm to a point in my career where now I'm getting auditions for feature films. It shifts that perspective from a pessimistic view to an optimistic view. In the book, he breaks down what the equation of luck is. He says that preparation plus mindset plus opportunity plus action equals luck. You must be prepared. You must have worked on and developed that skill or talent so that you are ready when an opportunity comes your way. Attitude. This is why I say a positive mindset is so incredibly powerful. When you view the world through a positive lens, you view situations and conversations in a different light. You are more able to see all of the possibility and potential around you. Attitude will allow you to see the opportunity when it comes your way. Then, once the opportunity comes your way, you must take action. Progress does not magically happen on its own. You must take action. I have said this before, that you can create your own luck. You must first be prepared, then put yourself in the path of the opportunity, and then you have to actually be able to see the opportunity once it comes your way. I have said this for years. So yet again, this was just another moment where I was like, yes, this book gets it. Now it's time to actually get into how to take note of and change these habits and choices. This is the most powerful piece that you can get out of this chapter. Whichever choice or habit you want to improve upon first, track it. This was when I really knew this book was for me, because this is exactly how I went about my 50-day challenge. Track each of your habits, stick to them, be honest about how frequently you are sticking to them. This book encourages you to take it a step further. Before changing anything, become the observer. If you want to be better about managing money, record every single thing you spend money on. That means writing down every single thing you buy. What was it and how much was it? The amazing Tori Dunlap of her first 100K talks about this in her book, Financial Feminist, and she even takes it a step further in recording, in addition to all of that, how that purchase made you feel. Because you know what? That's relevant. The point of this is to begin gathering data on yourself. Record and track everything and look at the patterns. Then from those patterns, you can begin to decide what it is that you want to change. Another example is if you're trying to get fit and build muscle, record every single thing you do in the gym. Record every single rep, how many reps, how much weight, and how many sets. Record everything. He then goes on to give many different examples of this in play, but what they all boil down to are becoming aware of your choices, then taking 100% responsibility for those choices and their outcomes, tracking your habits, having an optimistic mindset to be aware of the opportunity and potential for change, and then taking action towards changing those habits that you find are not benefiting you. In conclusion, the action steps for this chapter are to begin by starting a gratitude journal about an area of your life in which you're struggling. Find ways to be grateful. This will not only help improve that mindset, but will then also help you find solutions to improve that situation. Then ask yourself where you aren't taking 100% accountability for your actions. And lastly, start tracking the habits that you want to change. And that's chapter 2. Thank you all so much for watching this with me. I will have the next one coming out next week. If you are enjoying this, if you want to keep following along, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like rating, and comment down below. What's something that you learned from this video, or what's an area of your life that you kind of feel like you haven't been taking full responsibility? We all have it. Start claiming it now. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you next time. Most importantly, remember to keep smiling. Bye.